Thousands of new parliamentarian staff are at risk of crumbling buildings and vermin, union warns. We're going to read into this exclusive from The Independent, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from The Independent with the headline that thousands of new parliamentarian staff are at risk of crumbling buildings and vermin in the union has warned. The massive turnover of MPs and their staff at the general election means many of those working on the estate are unaware of the risks Parliament leading unions have warned. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. So, obviously there was we've had a massive change in terms of since the general election. A lot of old MPs gone out, a lot of new ones have come in, a lot of new faces, a lot of new people obviously trying to get used to how things are trying to get their feet under everything there. And obviously it's going to take time for them to get used to the way things are going. This very risk of crumbling buildings and vermin, this is a problem, no doubt. And obviously we've had, I don't recall us on the channel talking about the building itself, but I think it is worth having that rekindling that conversation. So this house, obviously, there needs to be a couple of decisions need to be made. So, and the problem is that, yeah, whatever decision is made, guys, it's going to cost taxpayer money either way. At some point. Now, I'm not saying this needs to happen now. I'm not saying this needs to happen right now, but they need to start making conversations and making some decisions about this, and not just from whoever is in power, but as a parliament itself, all political parties involved, as well as staff, clerks, and people who have worked there pretty much throughout all their lives. Some serious decisions need to be made. Now, there was supposed to be a restoration project, which is currently on hold, and we know that it's going to cost the taxpayer a lot of money. We also know that that this building is not completely working to its full potential, even with the restoration in place. Because the problem is, if we have so many MPs now, there's not enough seats for them. One of the other things is that it's not modernised. The problem is this House of Parliament is not modernised enough yet. We still have this issue, and it needs to be addressed. And a part of me just feels like that perhaps it is probably cheaper to literally build a new Parliament building with some old architects of Britain's history and whatnot. And I part of me just feels that rather and this could just be turned into a massive tourist building instead. I think. Instead, and you could make the taxpayer can make a definitely good money off turning it into a tourist estate instead, because I do feel that while I understand the history, I understand the value of this building, I understand how important it is. I just question whether or not it's worth keeping this building, keeping its industry, and I think we need a more modernization. I just don't think that the costs for this is working. I understand that the majority of I would say a lot of the majority of the British public, I would say, if they were to ask, and I'd be curious to see if YouGov does a poll on this, would they keep? I think if they had the choice of keeping the building, they would keep the building. But whether or not they would want Parliament to still be here or Parliament to be somewhere else, I think that's a question as well. Perhaps instead, because yeah, there's the cost to keeping this up and maintaining this is ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure there are cheaper better ways of it as well. But let's have a read into this, you guys. So thousands of new parliamentarian staff are at risk from crumbling buildings, fire, asbestos and vermin as the restoration of the Palace of Westminster remains in limbo. So all these issues you have, guys. The massive turnover of MPs and their staff at the general election means many of those working on the estate are unaware of the risks that they face. Parliament's leading unions have warned. And that the GMB, which represents thousands of employees working in the Commons, Lords and members and staffers, said that we cannot afford the can to be kicked down the street any longer. this is at a time when we don't have, so allegedly we don't have any money in the bank, according to Labour. The Palace of Westminster is undergoing a multi-billion-pound restoration and renewal project to ensure it's safe for future generations of MPs and staff across the estate. The cost of simply keeping the site safe and running is currently at 1.4 million a week, with the decision about a larger restoration project having been repeatedly pushed back. The official restoration and renew project has identified asbestos in 2,500 places on the estate, as well as a risk to fire, flooding and falling stone. Hundreds of miles of cables and pipes need replacing, outdated water and sewage systems need updating, and the project is estimated to take a team of 300 people several years. Another major problem is the lack of accessibility, with the estate covering 65 different levels, having more than 100 staircases and only one lift that meets modern day standards for accessibility. Yeah, this is the problem. Like, this is just too many obstacles. Too many obstacles, this building. And by the way, yeah, there is obviously one MP who has a guide dog, and you've obviously as well, you may have seen in the House of Commons, there's one MP who obviously relies on the guide dog. They obviously made case for the guide dog as well. Like this, the disability issues that as well. Like, I mean, like all these things, the cost to it all, like sewage and water systems. Like, yeah, that's how old this building is. It's insane. On a recent tour of the restoration and renewal sites, the Independents saw firsthand at how the corridors beneath Parliament are plagued with outdated infrastructure in desperate need of replacement. Basement walls are lined up with layers upon layers of pipes, at which some are redundant but cannot be removed without bringing the proceedings of the Palace to a standstill. The pipes which heat Parliament also stem from a single boiler room, with the steamer travelling across the estate, leaving some areas virtually uninhabitable in the winter. A recent Freedom of Information disclosed by the House of Commons found that there were 8 instances of falling masonry on the parliamentary estate in the year to last April. Staff working on the Renew project have recently passed a milestone of 45,000 hours of surveying to prepare the work to take place. The project Renewed board is considering 3 options, including a full digging of both houses to an alternative location, likely to the nearby Queen Elizabeth II Centre. Yeah, an alternative location would be ideal for them to do this work. Other options are partial descent, which would see MPs and staff move around the estate while the works take place in different areas. The third option would see rolling repairs take place while MPs, peers and staff continues working as normal. This would take longer. A report by the House of Parliament Restoration Renewal Project found this option would be the most expensive, costing up to £22 billion and taking 76 years. I mean, £22 billion first of all, and 76 years. Like, really? A full decade of the parliamentary estate, with MPs being housed off-site in a temporary Commons chamber, however, would cost considerable less, between £7 billion and £13 billion, and last between 19 and 28 years, the report added. That sounds a lot better. MPs will not be present with the options until 2025, after the committee oversees the project delays a decision before the end of the last Parliament. And at this point, they will be able to assess the designs and associated costs are expected to be able to vote for their preferred option. Marcos Pricia, Secretary of the GMB Parliament branch, said that after the general election, we now have hundreds of staff in the building who will be unaware about how hazardous of a workplace this is. He told the Independent the position GMB has long held is that the parliamentary estate should be decayed to allow full reconstruction instead of the spending astronomical sums on temporary repairs. Our primary concern is the working conditions, and currently the estate is not fit for purpose. With a new wave of MPs, many of whom are GMB members, and thousands of new staff with access to the estate, we don't want people at risk, and it's important that some certainties and long-term plan is agreed. Public Service Union, the FDA, also backed a full decade of Parliament, saying it would be the quickest and most cost-effective option and calling for urgent action. The Prospect Union, which also represents parliamentary staff, called for the staff representation on the decision-making bodies overseeing the project. Its General Secretary, Mike Clancy, said the previous government allowed the Palace of Westminster to degrade throughout their time in office, consistently putting off difficult decisions. Labour can cement its credentials as a different kind of government for not following suit. And a parliamentary spokesperson told The Independent, our absolute priority is the safety of those who work and visit on our parliamentary estate, and we continue to focus on improving our both safety culture and processes to ensure all those working in and or visiting Parliament are safe at all times. Where issues are identified, we act quickly to address them. We are on track to bring cost proposals to the restoration of the Palace of Westminster to both houses for a decision next year, detailing costs, timescales, risk and benefits of free delivery options, all of which represents a significant multi-billion-pound and decade-long investment in the Palace. This highly complex project to improve one of the world's most recognised buildings will support jobs and opportunities across the UK. Yeah, if, like me personally, I just think it's costing too much, this building. I just feel it costs too much. But again, like I said at the start, I understand that majority of British public would not want to see this building torn down in any way, shape, or form. I totally get that. But yeah, like the as it says there, like I can see some of those people within Parliament, some of the older MPs. I can see people within it saying, no, we have to do everything here, and it's just going to take so much money and so much cost and so much time. Like it's saying costing up to £22, taking 76 years. No, I think it'd be more than that over time. 76 years is a long time, and probably most of us will be long dead by the time that comes around. It'd be, as it says there, 7 to 13 billion pounds if that, just to push them out and do the change and do the repairs do the restoration in 19 to 28 years. Sounds a lot more feasible, a lot more cheaper, a lot less time if they really want to keep it. But that being said, I know my position is rather that just completely move out and have a brand new building from scratch instead. I think that would be better, and not in London either. But that's just me. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of the Houses of Parliament, the building itself? Do you agree with me that that we shouldn't be using it at all? Or maybe some of you disagree and think that we should keep the building and just get the cost in and get the changes that need to be done? What do you guys think about it all? Let me know your thoughts and more in the comment section down below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.